What is up, family? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're feeling amazing considering the circumstances. Today, what we're going to talk about is creating positive, lasting change. How do we create habits that stick so that we can continue to grow, so we continue to expand and build on our lives and live a life fulfilled and avoid living a life in stagnation where we feel stuck, where we feel stagnant and unfulfilled. How do we take these New Year's resolutions and actually build on it and create real change in our life? Because here's the thing, once we truly learn how to create real positive, lasting change in our life, we have the key to unlocking our best life. And I say that because as humans, one of our deepest core needs is to grow and expand. We are an ever expanding consciousness. And if we're not growing, we're dying. And so once we set these goals and we feel ourselves achieving these goals and we feel that real growth, we feel real fulfillment. It's a deep, deep feeling. And we experience more joy in our life. We experience more gratitude, more happiness, more appreciation, more energy. It oozes out of us, and the people that we come in contact with on a day-to-day, they feel it because it's just oozing out. It's just dripping out. And we experience real joy and gratitude. And so when we can learn how to experience this, when we can learn how to grow and continue to move forward, it literally changes our lives. But it's not that simple. What happens is a lot of us, we feel like we're taking 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Or we set these goals and we get into a momentum, and for whatever reason, we miss a day and then we end up going back to our old habits. That's a big one for me, and it's happened to me plenty of times. So how do we continue to get out of that? I know for me, one of the biggest changes that I made in my life was adding jogging and cardio. And I remember I hated jogging. I absolutely hated it. Up until very recently, I really, really hated jogging. And because of this change I made, I was able to accomplish something that I never thought even possible. I never even dreamed of it because I hated it so much. But I ran my first marathon. And the reason I'm super proud of it is because of how much I hated jogging. I mean, I hated it. Can't say that enough. One of the classes that I took, because I was a physiology major, one of the classes that I took was anatomy. And I remember learning about slow twitch muscles and fast twitch muscles. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, I'm just 100% fast twitch. There's not a slow twitch muscle in my body. That's why I play football. And you can have me run these conditioning workouts where we're sprinting across the field and stopping, sprinting, stopping, sprinting, stopping. And I can do that all day if you let me, but don't you dare ask me to jog around a lap. I don't like that at all. And I'll be ready to curse people out. And so one of the things that I had to get adjusted to after I stopped playing was, in order to stay in shape, I had to start jogging. So I would jog 1 mile, probably 4 or 5 times a week. When I would go work out, I would jog 1 mile. And I hated it. It was always a battle. Every single morning, I would wake up and I'd have 3,900 different reasons of why I should not go jog. And I would have about 2 or 3 of why I should actually do this. And it was a battle. It was, to say the least, it was a battle. And it was hard for me to really gain momentum and create real change. And I remember, there would be times where I would hit my target for like 2 weeks straight, and then I would miss a day, or I would have a cheat meal, or something would happen. And I would end up missing the next 2 weeks. I would just completely go off of it. And I remember I would judge myself, and I would feel like a failure. I'd be real disappointed in myself, and I would have to continue to battle with that self-debilitating language that we tend to use in ourselves. And so I had to get over that hump. I didn't know what I know now, that the biggest barrier to creating positive lasting change is identity conflict. So I was trying to make this real change in my life, having the same identity as I did before as the person who isn't built for jogging. Literally, they don't have a jogging muscle in their body. And so I'd always go against that identity conflict. Every time I tried to make a change, I'd be forced to revisit who I believed I was. And so, that can be very tough to get past. But things clicked for me when I got introduced to this book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And that book is powerful, and it did something for me mentally. I would listen to the audiobook while I was jogging. I remember one time in particular, I was jogging my normal 1 mile loop, and I just kept going. I was so entranced in this guy's story and his ability to keep moving and keep working and just his life transformation that I just kept going. And when I looked up, I had ran 4 miles, and it was like the most I had ever ran in my life. And I was super proud of myself. I was super happy. And, I did something that I didn't even really know existed inside of me, to be honest. And, sometimes it happens. I'm sure you all can relate to a time in your life where you shocked yourself and doing something that you didn't even know that you could do. Maybe it was a presentation at work where, you didn't prepare for it, but for whatever reason, you blew it out the park. And after you blew it out the park, you felt growth, you felt fulfillment because you said, okay, I can do this. Maybe it lasted for a little bit. Or maybe if you played sports, maybe you had a breakout game and you did more than you've ever even done in practice. In the game, you did more than you've done in practice. And you felt excited, obviously. Sometimes we do that. We shatter our beliefs of ourselves, and it's cool over time, but because it's something sort of an external experience, or we wait for that external validation for us to believe that we can do something, what happens when we don't get that validation for months, for years? How easy is it for us to fall back into that habit of believing that we're not capable of more than what we say, because we haven't gotten it proven to us by something that's happened. And that happened to me. After that 4 mile run, I started doing 4 mile runs and nothing more. And I didn't really have a huge source of inspiration to push past it. And, over time, I even felt myself getting stagnant. It's really just remaining in that comfort zone. And so what ended up happening was my friend, one of my best friends, he told me that we're getting ready to run an LA marathon. We're about to go for it. And because I had never jogged for real in my life, I thought that a marathon was about 8 miles. And I'm like, okay, I run 4, so I can get to 8. I'm sure you can imagine my disappointment when I found out it was 26.2 miles. But, when I found that out, having 2 months to prepare for it, I had to really learn how to change my belief system, because it just wasn't going to work out for me to feel and think and make choices and behave as if I was not a jogger, and I had to accomplish something huge. And so how do we create this change in our life? How do we change our belief? How do we get over that hump? One of the key things we have to realize, like I said before, that identity conflict is that biggest barrier. So one of the main things that we have to first do is learn to expand our identity. An identity being the beliefs of who we are as a person. And those beliefs are shaped by the way we think, what we repeatedly think, what we repeatedly feel, and our repeated choices, repeated behaviors. Those ultimately lead to our beliefs, and our beliefs are who we are as our identity. And so once we expand our identity, we expand our life. So in my situation, I couldn't keep thinking as a non-jogger. I had to reinforce thoughts that were aligned with that identity of a marathon runner. I had to change that feeling of stress that I felt every time I woke up to jog. I had to reinforce the feeling of gratitude and joy and pair that with the activity of jogging so that I continue to feel good when I wake up in the morning and continue to feel good about the wins. And I had to ultimately make choices and behave as a jogger. So I couldn't keep eating crazy the night before. I couldn't keep doing certain things that were eliminating my feeling and my ability to perform at a higher level. And even the stuff that I would wear, I ended up getting these jogging shorts and jogging glasses and a Fitbit on my watch and on my wrist, and it ended up really sort of reinforcing that identity of me as a jogger. And so there are a couple of practical ways that we can use our minds to really train and expand our identity. One of the first ways, the main way, is meditation. The ability to train our awareness. When we meditate, what we're doing is we're becoming the observer of our thoughts. We're creating space between our thoughts and our feelings, and we're looking at it from an observer perspective. When we do that, we start to detach emotionally from those thoughts, from those feelings. We become aware of them. And when we detach from them, we're able to navigate it better. The way I look at meditation, I think of, a deep blue sea, a huge ocean, and the waves representing the thoughts. And the crashing of the waves on the surface are like those thoughts that continue to bug us sometimes. When we meditate, we sink deep into the core of the ocean. We're able to look up and see those thoughts, but we're detached from it. So when we close our eyes and we take deep breaths and we start to get into that peaceful, calm place, we are training our awareness. And this is important for expanding our identity because a lot of us aren't even aware of the limiting thoughts, the limiting behavior, the limiting feelings that we continue to express into our life and our minds constantly. And when we learn to meditate, we begin to become aware of those things so that we can deal with it. Just the awareness of it and the detachment emotionally from it is huge in itself for starting to eliminate and remove those blockages that hold us back in anything in life, but particularly when it comes to identity and who we consider ourselves to be. So when we meditate, we learn how to see that from an outside point of view so that we can start to navigate it and make a plan to fix it. And we can all do that in our minds. So meditation is hugely, hugely important. The second thing is visualization. I spoke about this in my last video, using our imagination. But the ability to create imagery with our minds, when we're able to visualize ourselves as that new identity, for me, it would be a marathon runner. When we're able to visualize ourselves as that and just imagine ourselves basking in the glory of our new identity, whatever it may be. If you are a lawyer and practicing law, bask in the glory of yourself in the courtroom and just making statements like Johnny Cochran, just killing it, where the whole courtroom just gets up and applauds and the judge just, you got it. Your client is free. Whatever it takes. Visualize yourself basking in the glory of your new identity. Start to become very aware of it. Start to feel like it. Visualization is important to do that. The third thing that we can do is incorporate some positive affirmations and positive incantations into our life. Words are extremely, extremely, extremely powerful. So when we use positive affirmations, We're actually saying a positive phrase in the present moment with conviction about who it is that we are. Even if it hasn't shown up in our life yet, even if we haven't won a championship yet, we can still tell ourselves that I am a champion. We can start to embody and identify as that new identity. And what happens is something amazing. Our whole world starts to shift around us. Our external environment starts to show who we are internally. But we have to first learn to change and create our identity. And we can do that through affirmations, through incantations, through convicted beliefs of who we are as a person. We have to change it from the inside. We can change it by the language that we use on a day-to-day basis. And the fourth point and the final technique that we can use is just to embrace small wins. We have to master the art of showing up for ourselves. And we have to congratulate ourselves for doing it. Like I said earlier, growth and expansion is such a deep part of our human needs that the more that we can incorporate small wins and small steps forward in our life, and the more we can embrace it, we continue to build more and more energy, more excitement, more joy. And it ends up just giving us enough boost to continue to move forward. That's how we moved forward in life. We take steps. That's how we create positive, lasting change. We step to it. We keep moving forward, keep building it brick by brick by brick by brick by brick by brick by brick. And the most important thing we have to do is congratulate ourselves for those small wins. Continue to love yourself. That's huge, 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 huge. Continue to love yourself through the process, love yourself through the journey, and we'll come out on the other side of it so much better. But I want you to just imagine what your life will look like. Imagine what life looks like when you have the tools to create real change and to make habits that stick. So next year, 2021, once all this stuff has died down, hopefully, I don't know how long this thing's gonna take, but once it's died down, 2021, when we step into that New Year resolution, you got confidence. And you know what? I've meditated during this quarantine, so I've become aware of my thoughts. I know where I'm limited. You know what? I visualize what I want in 2021, and maybe the end of 2021 and going into 2022. I've visualized it. I've basked in the glory of it. You know what? I've started to say some positive affirmations, and you know what? I'm starting to really feel this new identity. You know what? And you know what? I've had some small wins. I've already started working towards it. Guess what? 2021's New Year's resolutions, we're keeping it. I'm saying it right now. We're keeping the 2021 resolutions because we are going to expand our identity. And I am so excited to see who you become. Thank you all for listening. I truly, truly appreciate you. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave it down below so that we can have a conversation and we can continue this conversation and grow together, because we're all looking to grow. We're all looking to expand. We are in this together. I love y'all and I appreciate you. Peace.